more saloons heading from the BMWs on towards the Blue Oval, the first of our Ford-based races here for today. This is the second race of the weekend for the ETSL STXR Challenge. Brilliant little championship. Of course, you can find out more about them also on the brscc.co.uk website. And for this second race, we've got a slight reversal of the order because whilst the cars are sat in the finishing order from yesterday, it is the XRs that are sat at the front of the grid that will go off first, and then the STs, who are a couple of rows back, will start just behind them. And of course, all of them finishing in the order that they finished from yesterday. It's all also an overall finishing position. So it's a little bit similar to, if people remember back in the early 2000s when we had the British Touring Car Championship, had the touring cars and the production cars. There used to be a system where, for them, it was the production cars were a lap ahead, and they started they started a lap ahead, and it was up to the touring cars to try and catch them up. For these ones, no one's a lap ahead of anything. It's simply just they're all on the same lap, but the XRs will start 20 seconds ahead of the STs, and then the STs will push as hard as they can to try and catch them up. Given that the STs have a bit of a power advantage, it might well be a little bit easier for them given the long straights here at Snetterton. But as we saw at Croft, when we had them on live stream back then, it wasn't as simple as that, because we had that before in the second race, and even with the safety car, they only got past until the last bit. So the rain can be a bit of a performance leveler when it comes to these cars. And as I also referred to yesterday in the first race, a well-driven XR with the right setup can be just as quick, if not quicker in some cases, than the guys in the STs, of course. But then over the last couple of years, we've had the Class A XR2s as the more dominant class. But then as the years have gone on with the past couple of seasons, those STs have started to come more to the fore, to which we've got quite a nice bumper grid of them going forwards for this season. They've had over 40 registrations. At the first round at Croft, they had 30 cars. So this has been growing and blossoming really nicely within the STXR Challenge paddock. And of course, there's more cars along the way. But let's take you through how they're lining up for this second race. Then first of all, let's take you through the XR contingent. Simon Robertson, due to his race win yesterday, starts on pole position for the XRs at the front of the grid. Alex Kors starts alongside him. They had a great back and forth battle at the front of the field in that category. Then it's Jason Hennifer and Ben Thomas. Jason top of the XR3Is alongside Ben Thomas fourth on the grid. And it's Danny Lee in the second Escort XR3i, and Daniel Cooper, who I'm pleased to say is back on the grid after he retired with mechanical problems at Ritchie's early on in that race. Then we have a couple of rows gap back, and then we go look to our STXR contenders, so in the STs with Michael Blackburn, who was yesterday's overall and ST race winner, who will start on pole for them. Alongside him is Sam Beckett, ahead of 10 Sport Performance team boss Chris Grimes, and Chris Jones, who's the championship leader coming into the weekend, starting back in fourth. Then it's the first of the three Barons with Lee, who's contending mostly for the championship. Alongside him is former multiple champion Mark Robinson. Another multiple champion in Michael Heath comes next. Alongside him is Lewis Barron, son of Lee. And then further back, we have Mark Blunt in car number 3 alongside Alex Townley on the 9th row of the grid overall, but the 5th row for the STs is then Tony Mumford and Gareth Pilling from Ross Craig and Adam Bissell. We have then Christopher Rowlands and Daniel Cooper in car number 17 on the 12th row of the grid, or the 8th row for the STXR Challenge. And then further back we have Luke Woodward and Ryan Barron, who had an issue yesterday and saw him retire from that first race, but he's got some work to do to creep up from the back of the grid. So as we mentioned, if you want more information on this championship, you can head to the website, brscc.co.uk. So the format, this is pretty simple. There's within 4 or 5 classes in this championship. The STs, they might look fairly similar to the more familiar BRSCC Fiesta Championship, Fiesta Junior cars, but while the specification for the Fiesta Championship and Fiesta Juniors is effectively the same, bar a couple of tweaks for the juniors, these STs in this STXR Challenge Championship are more Group N specifications. So they run different tyres, different suspension, different specification. They don't have a particular ECU map on them to be a bit more powerful. They are more akin to more the road-going cars with all the mandatory safety requirements, a couple of tweaks to make them more track ready. But apart from that, they are pretty much what you expect in what you'd call a Group N specification if they're running in a Group N championship, so to speak. They are the dominant cars on the grid. We've seen quite a few drivers that have come through from the Class A's and the Fiesta XR2s and the Escort XR3Is in Class B have been starting to step up into these cars. But there are still a few of the XRs still around racing, and we're quite grateful to have them still on the grid. There's still drivers that want to come out and race them because they prefer the XR2s and to keep them in competition and extend their competition life. And there are a few more XRs on the way in the next couple of rounds coming up, with Cadwell Park, a familiar circuit, being Alton Park coming up as well. They're also heading off to Donington at the end of the season too for their season finale. And that's the whole great thing about this year, is that rather than being more than they have in the past, which has been more of a northwestern-based championship, because this championship has mainly frequented both Alton Park and Anglesey in the past over the last few years. They've taken a bit of a step up in going to a step up in terms of different venues, shall we say, alongside them. So they've gone to the likes of Croft. They've been to the past couple of seasons. They've been to Knock Hill as well, which was a fabulous meeting for them as well. All the drivers really did rave a lot about that meeting in terms of how fantastic it was, and I think a lot of them do want to go back to Scotland again next year if they can. And also as well, of course, they're heading here to Snetterton. First time they've been here since 2018. Donington Park, they've been there before. They've also been to Silverstone in the past as well. So they do travel further afield, and they're taking more of a national approach in terms of the circuits they visit to, and it has absolutely paid off. As I briefly mentioned to you just now, just over 40 drivers registered for the season. We had 30 of them out for the first round at Croft, so it just shows how much more popular and how much popular it currently is, and it continues to be in the STXR Challenge, with more and more cars and drivers giving it a go. And there's lots of new faces popping up, not just in the XRs, but in the STs as well, who are joining this fantastic paddock that the STXR have done. So all the credit has to go to Chris Flynn and to David Fairclough and to all the guys involved with the championship for building up as it is. And there's always still the preference of more and more cars coming along as the year goes on. So, Simon Robinson and Alex Corser starting on the front row of the grid. As we say, it was at race 1, it was the XRs behind the STs. They'll be behind them again for race number 3 later on. And then we'll have, again, the XRs will start off first. They'll be starting by the lights. There'll be a 20-second gap, and then the Union Jack flag will start the STs, who are a couple of rows back for their race. So we have technically 2 separate races in one. Watch for the STs to come through. Don't be surprised if they catch them by the time the race comes on. It can be quite a battle between them. So we're getting set then for race number 2 of the weekend for the ETSL STXR Challenge here at Snetterton. Simon Robinson and Alex Corder looking to continue their duel from yesterday in the class. Revs are up, the red lights are on, heading off any second now, and away we go. Cracking start from pole from the inside of the front row from Simon Robinson. They get away pretty cleanly. Jason Hennifer also darts out to try and get himself up the inside for second place on Alex Corser. Also moving well is Ben Thomas. Danny Lee's in the mix as well in the second of the XR3Is. And Jason Hennifer turns into Richie's corner in second place behind Simon Robinson. Meanwhile, I'm looking at my commentary box window. The STs have been started by the Union Jack flag. So away they go, and here they are. Here comes the cavalry down towards Richie's corner as they charge off towards turn 1. Looks as though from the front row of the grid, Michael Blackburn's trying to hold on to pole position as they make their way down towards the first corner. And now out of Wilson's they go. In the background, watch the STs flash through in a second. There they are. So whilst the XRs turn their way out through Palmer's for the first time, we'll see how the ST starts played out in a few moments' time. So Simon Robinson leads the way then in the red Fiesta XR2. The white and blue two-tone Escort XR3i of Jason Hennifer comes next in second place. And Simon already using the advantage, using the fact that there's a car between himself and Alex Corser to full advantage and pulling away a small gap around about a second already. Alex Corser trying to come back at Jason Hennifer on the exit of Agostini. Danny Lee is fourth, ahead of Ben Thomas in the blue XR2 with the white racing stripes. And then Daniel Cooper, who we said it's great to see back on there after he had some mechanical issues, is still holding on in sixth position. So we'll take a look at the STs in a second, but we're just following our XR runners as they come out through Oggies for the first time and up towards Williams. Now we pan back. Oh, and Danny Lee's had a spin. Looks like he's done that all by himself, I think. I don't think he had anyone too near him. The car was immediately behind him was Ben Thomas, but I don't think he was close enough to cause a problem. I can't see any damage on the rear anyway. Nothing that would suggest it was quite a substantial tap, but away he goes. Now for the STs, they're going to be heading through in a second, but we still can focus on our XR drivers for the time being. Still Simon Robertson that leads then. Jason Hennifer in second place, and Alex Corser's not letting him get away as they turn through with Brundle Nelson. A little wide over the curve there for the Escort as they make the sprint towards the bomb hole. Hopefully we'll be able to see our ST runners in a second as they come up towards the end of the first lap. I'd like to see who's where, particularly if Michael Blackburn's held on to that pole position. Is now coming up through the right-hander. Looks like Corser was trying to put a move on Jason Hennifer up the inside through Coram. Not quite. Jason shut the door. He's quite an experienced man, is Jason, in this car. He's been racing for so long. As you can see, it is for sale, so if you want to try and pick this car up, it's quite a potent machine, this Escort XR3i. It's been a front runner in the Class B for quite a while, and certainly proving it is he's now going toe-to-toe with Alex Corser. Meanwhile, Simon Robinson continues on in the lead. They're at quite a canter, leads the way. Here's our ST contingent, and it's still Michael Blackburn leading from pole position. Chris Grimes is up to second from the second row of the grid, and then it's third position for... Let's see, I think that's third position for Chris Jones ahead of Sam Beckett. There's been a change around in the first couple of rows. Michael, he's had a great start. He's side by side with Lee Barron as the STs charge down the pit straight for the first time. And they are already catching the tail end of the SXRs. They are catching Daniel Lee down the pit straight, so I did anticipate that they were going to start doing that, given the fact these cars have a bit more poke in a straight line. So I was fully anticipating the fact that that was going to happen. So heading out of Palmer's and into Agostini for the second time. Robinson had a 4.6 second lead at the end of the first. That's how much of an advantage he has at the moment. Causa has got through to second, though. He's managed to make it past the escort of Jason Hennifer. We're just holding back for a second so we can catch our STs who are heading down to the hairpin now. They're coming up towards Ben Thomas. They'll be able to pass him overall in a second. Meanwhile, Daniel Cooper just gets immediately out of the way. I'm having no pass to the scrap between Chris Jones and Sam Beckett, who has got a bit of his rear bumper dislodged. So I think if either Grimes or possibly Chris Jones got through, it might have been totally without any contact. The rest of the pack heads its way out of Agostini on this second lap so far. And Chris Jones, championship leader, has won before this weekend, and won all but one race. And that was the first race at Knock Hill, which was won by Michael Blackburn, who took the victory yesterday. He's looking for a second one. And I anticipate that he'll be starting to push himself right into championship contention by the time we get to the end of this weekend. It's still, of course, after this race, one more to go. There's Alex Causa using all the curve as he turns in through Brundle and Nelson. Jason Hennifer giving chase in the XR3i. As I mentioned, it's brilliant to see these wonderful, old school 80s Fiestas and Escorts still on track. It evokes fantastic memories of the time when what we now know as the Fiesta Championship was based mainly on these Fiesta XR2s, when you had plenty of them and they would go up and down the country everywhere. They'd even go to places as far afield as France, and even the Nürburgring in Germany back in the 80s. So how far these cars have come, and it's fantastic that some 30, 40 years later, they are still very much being used and very much still enjoyed as a competition race car. So full credit to the guys who still race these cars for keeping them out and keeping them racing at all. And hopefully we get a few more as the seasons progress. Now, the top three have flashed through, but the next cars to come through the shot now are our leading STs. Still Michael Blackburn leading from Chris Grimes in second place. Chris Jones is now third. Now he's got past Sam Beckett. Fourth place now for Beckett, fifth now for Lee Barron, and they've all put a lap on Ben Thomas so far. So their next target for the XRs is going to be the third place man, Jason Hennifer, when he comes through. So Michael Blackburn then, who knows what it's like to be an Escort. He has been in an XR3i before, and he made the step up, I think it was last year, and he was pretty prominent at the away round last year when they were sharing the grid with the Fiesta Championship at Silverstone. And there you can see the pace difference at the moment between the XRs and the STs, and Blackburn now starting to reel in your top three at the moment. I imagine that Simon Robertson might be a little bit tricky to catch because he has got quite a lead. The lead at the moment is 5 seconds at this point in time. Fastest lap of the race, unsurprisingly, has gone to our ST leader, which is Michael Blackburn, 2 minutes 22.748. Good battle going on here between Mark Robinson, who's dropped back a little bit. He's got some work to do, former champion. He was up there contending for the overall and Class D title last year with William Heslop, who not only has a Class A title to his name in an XR2, as well as being a champion in the XRs, but also then translated that pace into the STs, and he unfortunately had to give up the championship, I'm afraid. Not by choice, but unfortunately because he had a bit of a, I think he came down with the dreaded C word, as we can refer it to. But because of that, he couldn't travel. So no, because he had some restrictions which forced him not to be able to travel. So because of that, unfortunately, he couldn't make the final rounds, sadly, and so therefore William Heslop was able to go on and take the championship. So Mark then, we're looking to try and rebound as much as he can. Sam Beckett there was exploring the track limits, exiting the right-hander at Williams. Still that left corner rear bumper is trailing. Now, if he's not careful, if it doesn't fall off by itself, he might well get a black and orange flag, which is the mechanical flag that the stewards can ask to be held out to him. And that means that you have to come into the pit lane to have that car fixed, or just at least hope that the offending piece of bodywork falls off. If it falls off by itself, then that's fine. It will be no problem anymore, and he won't have to come in. But if it does continue to drag on the ground like that, it could pose a problem to the cars behind. But sometimes these bumpers do tend to dislodge themselves quite quickly if they start dragging on the ground enough at high enough speed. Leaders in the STs are coming up to pass Jason Hennifer for third. I was tempted to say a lap there, but I've got to remember that there's not anything going. Now, there's something going on in the background. There was a lot of smoke and dust going on there. I couldn't quite catch who it was, but something's happened between a few cars there. There goes one of the Barons. Mark Robinson's in there too as well. I have to say, right at the top of the shot. I think it meant that it was somebody locking up and then running wide. I can't see any damage to anyone or anyone limping, so I think it simply was just someone being a bit too quick into Murray's, and because of that, lost momentum and ran wide onto the grass. There's Michael Heath, who's a former multiple-time XR Challenge champion, back when it was just XRs, but he's now jumped into an ST for the first time this season. And, oh, we've got a car running slowly by the looks of things up towards the complex. That is Tony Mumford, the former pickup truck racer. And I think it's his second season in the STs. He has been before in the XRs. He ran in, I think the first time he did it was in Class E, which is for the XR2s that run without a limited slip differential. There's none here on the grid, but that's where he started. So they turn in at the end of another lap, and Sam Beckett must be hoping, if he can see it dragging on the ground, he'll be hoping that this bumper dislodges itself and falls off, because, again, as I mentioned, he might well get a mechanical warning flag for that. And he'll be mandated to come in. If he doesn't come in, then that's the dreaded black flag will be next. But rather than think about that too much, let's focus on where we are at the front of the field. So Sam Beckett then, who is currently sat at the moment in 7th overall and 4th in the STs right now, is trying to hold on. There's Simon Robinson, who continues to spread eagle the field in his XR2. Alex Causa, who's a bit further back this time than he was yesterday, is in second place on 5 seconds. Then our leaders in the STs come through. Blackburn from Grimes, Chris Jones, the championship leader. And then we have Sam Beckett in 4th in that class, 7th overall. And then as they turn their way through, in fact, they both got past Jason Hennifer, as has also Lee Barron. So he's been in contention for victories over the last 2 opening meetings, but a little bit further back this weekend. So he'll want to try and rebound if he can for the 3rd one. There goes Alex Causa. Still trying to chase down Simon Robertson. There is Michael Blackburn, followed by Chris Grimes. Chris took a victory last year at Silverstone after he was doing double duty that weekend with the Fun Cup, which is quite a regular. And then Sam Beckett tries to drag the bumper over the curb in an effort to try and bounce it along and eventually dislodge it, but it's not quite happened just yet. And he's going on the pit straight as if he's trying to, I'm not sure if that's what he's trying to do, but it's almost as if ironically, he wants to try and get a team member to try and grab it as he goes past. Obviously, that would be completely frowned upon, but he's just hoping that it falls off. Otherwise, he will get a warning flag for that, as I keep on mentioning. So 4 minutes and 4.5 minutes to go left in this second STXR Challenge race here at Snetterton. As we continue to focus on Sam Beckett, 4th in the ST, now up to 6th, because those leading contenders are past Jason Hennifer now, who's dropped to across the line 8th overall, but still 3rd in the XR category, and also leading the way in his individual class, which is Class B, the Escort XR3Is. There is Michael Blackburn. Certainly this will be helping him out to collect some very valuable championship points if he can hold on to this particular success. And I think, given the gap that Simon Robertson has, we might well get our first XR overall win of the season, because looking at lap times, yes, Michael Blackburn's done a 2:22.655, but the overall gap between himself and Simon Robinson is 8.8 seconds. So unless, touch wood, something happens to Simon on the last lap, I can't actually see Michael Blackburn catching him. He might well catch second place man Alex Causa and pick up the second place overall, but I'm not sure he got enough to catch Simon Robinson. He might well just be further enough away to be able to hold on. So I think we're going to get, looking at the time, we might get 2 more laps. There is, I can see a board bit, right, I can see just out my commentary box here window, the aforementioned black and orange flag is being held out, and I don't think he means to tell you exactly who that's being held out for. I think it is being given to Sam Beckett, I think, for that dragging bumper. So I think, unfortunately, he may well have to give up his position and come into the pit lane. Otherwise, if he doesn't, he might well find himself with a bit more than just a time penalty at the end. So Simon Robertson goes through. Here comes Michael Blackburn on the tail of Alex Causa as they come up towards Murray's out of Coram. And I imagine with the better straight line speed that Michael Blackburn will just simply zip past him on the sprint down the centre straight. And then it'll be down towards Ritchie's, where he'll take the outside line. They're going to be side by side across it, and it will be his nose in front by the time they get across the line, and he will be totally in front by the time they turn into the right-hander. So we're going to get 2 more laps as, oh no, Simon Robertson's out. Simon Robertson, the race leader, has retired on the penultimate lap. Oh, goodness me. Simon Robertson, who was on course potentially for an overall race win, as well as the front running in the XRs, he's out on the penultimate lap. Oh, that is gutting for Simon Robertson, who was doing so well and having such a great race. He was away by some 5 seconds, but his last lap seemed to be okay lap time-wise. It was a 2:25.911, So it must have been a problem that has come along so suddenly and just happened without warning. So Simon Robinson's car out unexpectedly on the penultimate lap of the race. Well, I'm almost a bit speechless there. I'm not quite sure what to say, because Simon Robinson was having such a fantastic run in the XR. And we were, I guess it's the commentator's curse, we were bigging him up for the first potential non-ST race winner, of course, overall. And all of a sudden, his car is pulled off to the side of the road. Well, it now means that Michael Blackburn is now the overall leader. Chris Grimes has gone past Alex Corsa for second place. It'll be a bit of a silver lining for Alex Corsa, because it means he'll finish third overall and will also be able to get some points back on Simon Robinson. And I think there's a couple of supporters in the chat that are also feeling a bit gutted for Simon. I think in some cases, I'm supposed to be rather impartial. I'm quite gutted for Simon as well, because that was quite a good run for him. I think anyone would be, because given that he was so far up the field and doing a fantastic job holding on to the overall lead, to have it snatched away like that certainly is not the way you would have wanted it to end by any stretch of the imagination. Well, there's your overall race leader then, as he was in race 1. Michael Blackburn turns his way now, at the moment, relatively unchallenged, although Chris Grimes is starting to go with him. Looking at lap times between the two of them, Chris Grimes did a lap that was 2/10 quicker than Michael Blackburn last time. That was even with the benefit of a small, brief tow up the pit straight, exiting the final corner when he was trying to pass Alex Corsa. So into Coram, and then into Murray's for the penultimate time. Big lockup for Alex Corsa if he turns in. We've lost one XR, we don't want to lose a second one in quick succession. And Alex Corsa might well be about to be nudged off the overall podium by Chris Jones, as the black and orange mechanical flag, you can see it there, the black flag with the orange circle, that is the mechanical flag that is being held out for, I'm confident, Sam Beckett, car number 96. We'll get it a second time. As there is, you can see just the centre of shot as the cars head through. That was Simon Robinson's XR2 that's sadly pulled off behind the barriers. We head now into the hairpin for the last time. Now, Chris Grimes last time has just set the fastest lap of the race, and he's a second quicker than Michael Blackburn last time. It was a 2:23.0 for Michael Blackburn, a 2:22.0 for Chris Grimes. So maybe this isn't over yet. Maybe that Chris Grimes has got a little bit left in reserve here, and he might well start to put Michael Blackburn under pressure. They're going to head down towards Agostini for the final time. In the background, we can see Chris Jones is lining up Alex Corsa, but we could get a last-minute change for the lead. It'll be our third different leader in as many laps in many cases, if he can find his way through. So Blackburn then, rather unexpectedly, is about to get his elbows out to try and hold on to this overall victory. Chris Grimes, though, I'm sure will push him all the way to the flag, as in the foreground, we can see that Chris Jones is getting past Alex Corsa. Lee Barron, I'm sure, might well get past Alex as well before the end of the race. But now as they come up through Oggies and into Williams for the final time and onto that long Bentley straight, if Chris Grimes can be close enough, he might start to latch on and get a slipstream into Williams, but he won't do it like that as he pulls through Williams' corner, all sorts of out of shape. And I think that might have just killed his charge, unless he can get a super run through Brundle and Nelson and get right onto his tail to make a bit of a photo finish on the run to the line. So down the back straight, up towards Brundle Nelson again, and once again Chris Grimes closes right up underneath him into Brundle Nelson. Either Michael's sort of backed off a tiny bit, or he's got a problem of some kind that's been further developing, and Chris Grimes with a better run out of the corner takes the wide approach into the bomb hole. This could be a real photo finish to the second STXR Challenge race here at Snetterton, as they make their way now through Coram for the final time. Michael Blackburn might not be secure here because Chris Grimes smells blood in the water. He smells a chance to get through here. They're side by side as Michael Blackburn takes the wide approach on towards Murray's, and now up with a sprint towards the flags. Michael Blackburn runs wide over the curb a little bit. A better run for Chris Grimes on the exit. It will be a side-by-side photo finish. Chris Grimes is creeping alongside him. They're going to be side-by-side. There's a car off in the background, but they run to the line. It's either going to be Grimes or Blackburn towards the flag. Who's it going to be? Side-by-side across the line. I think Grimes just got it at the flag. Did he? No, Blackburn showing us he got it. Blackburn wins it by, get this, 8/1000ths of a second. Michael Blackburn wins by 0.008 at the checkered flag. What a thrilling finish that was. Blackburn wins, Grime in second place. It's third place for Chris Jones. He does pass Alex Corsa. Fourth is Lee Barron. Fifth is Alex Corsa. Sixth is going to be Lewis Barron. Seventh, Ryan Barron. That's not a bad progress in the back of the grid. Eighth is Mark Robinson. Ninth is Michael Heath. And 10th is Gareth Pilling. So Alex Corsa is the top XR home. Rest of the field comes streaming through. But how's that for a finish? And I'm not sure Michael Blackburn was expecting it too much. I think either he's had some kind of developing problem or his tyres went off. I'm not sure. Either that or simply Chris Grimes just had that much pace in the closing stages. But what a thrilling close finish that was. And I'm just waiting to see if the timing changes, because sometimes when they go and reassess it and look at the timing, looks back at it again, sometimes it can change. But no, it looks though it's keeping it with Michael Blackburn, and he still wins by that margin in the top left corner. 0.008 seconds. That's the closest finish I think we might see all weekend. Wow, what a thriller. And there's still one more of these cars per foot races to go. So excellent stuff by the STXR Challenge. A thrilling race as always. And again, if you like that, there is one more race to come later on, so that should be interesting. So cars make their way in towards Parc Fermé. The timing screen says Blackburn. It did look initially as if it was Chris Grimes, because it looked like he was a fraction ahead, but the timing screen shows it's 0.08 of a second in Blackburn's favour. So in that one, it should be rather interesting. So into the Parc Fermé they come, and our top three will have a chat with Josh Barrett down in Parc Fermé. They're just being told where to park up in Parc Fermé at the moment as Chris Grimes pulls in. I think they're going to get some checks from the scrutineers. And again, if you enjoyed that, if you want more information on the STXR Challenge, they do have their own website, stxrchallenge.com. But of course, main place for all the information for all the championships racing here this weekend is brscc.co.uk. Again, you can find their dedicated STXR Challenge Formula page by heading to the Formula section, and you'll be able to check them out there. So, a quick recap of the result then before we head down to Josh. And in a thrilling photo finish, it's showing Michael Blackburn who takes the victory by 0.008 of a second from Chris Grimes at the flag. Chris Jones is third, and it's Lee Barron fourth. Alex Corsa is fifth overall and wins Class A and the XR contingent. Lewis Barron is sixth, and Ryan Barron, Mark Robinson, Michael Heath and Gareth Pilling. That's your overall top 10. We're now going to hand over to Josh in the Parc Fermé. I'm sure has two very thrilled and exciting drivers after that incredible second STXR Challenge race. Wow, what a finish.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, we're down with our top two. We don't know who won the race, but according to TSL, it's Mike Blackburn by 0.08 of a second. Mike, you weren't sure you won. What a close finish.
Yeah, I don't like him that close. No, I thought Chris had me then. I made a mistake on the last corner, some oil or fuel down. Just caught me out, and I was on the rumble strips.
Yeah.
Just couldn't get any traction, and he got a run on me. No, it was close, too close.
Yeah, I guess if the finish line was about a couple of metres further down, it might have been a different story.
Absolutely, yeah. No, there's oil down for that last 1.5 laps, or fuel down. I spotted it, but I think Chris was too close, and coming onto the back straight, I saw him have a big sideways moment, and I thought, I've got the 2 or 3 lengths I've got. Then it caught me out again, and Chris caught me back up. So, no, it's just a matter of survival, those last laps. 0.08, I'll take that.
And a different type of race with the XR starting in front. How do you enjoy those?
Well, it's brilliant that we've got 2 classes, and each class should be at the front, over the weekend. That's right. But yeah, it's racing. You're passing people that are fast. You're trying to race with people around you, and you have to pass people that you're catching. It's part of it.
Yeah. One more race this weekend. How are you looking forward to that?
I'd like to go home now, actually, with 2 wins. But yeah, no, bring it on. I think it's going to rain.
Well, that's what everybody keeps saying, isn't it? It just isn't coming at the moment.
I know. It'll be a different challenge. But no, considering the time I had in qualifying, I had a few tenths on them in qualifying. They've caught me up. Yeah. So maybe a wet race will I'll see what difference that makes.
Well done on 2 wins so far.
Thank you.
Second place was Chris Grimes, who's over here, I think. Chris, second place for you.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, 0.08 of a second is what the time. I suspect there might be one available, but yeah, it couldn't really get any closer, can it?
No, that last lap, I don't think I could push anymore.
Yeah.
It was class. yeah, really good.
Mike thinks he made a bit of an error on the fluid.
Yes, there was fluid again on the last lap, and it just throws a spanner in the works. But again, I'm going to go and see a photo because I think I won that.
Okay, we'll let you go and do that. Anyway, obviously enjoyed that race coming through the field.
Class, yeah, really good. So race 3 is going to be just as good, I think. Yeah. Hopefully.
And now I think you did the fastest lap in that race as well, so that's a good bonus.
Yeah, mega. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well done and good luck later.
Thank you.
Then in third place was Chris Jones. Third place there for you, Chris, and a busy race getting past the XRs as well, battling with your own class.
Yeah, they all came at the wrong point for me.
Right.
I was hoping to get a bit of a slipstream, but just caught them in the corners. Bit of oil put down the last lap made it a little bit interesting in a couple of corners, but we had that yesterday as well for most of the race. So warm out there.
Yeah.
It's good battle with Sam to start with, and then a bit of in between the front two and pack behind chasing me down. So it was all right.
Is Snetterton a circuit you've raced at before this weekend?
Yeah, not since 2004 was the last time I raced here, so it's changed a little bit. Some of the corners are similar, but yeah, all the infield's new and everything. So,
what are your thoughts on the new part of the track?
It's nice. It's certainly quite hard on the tyres and on the cars, so but it makes it interesting. It's nice.
Yeah. One more race later. The other guy's saying it might rain. What do you think?
I like the rain. It doesn't really matter. So we'll see what happens and adjust from there.
Well done on your third place finish.